GOTTLIEB Show here on Fox Sports Radio, and it's awesome to catch up with a guy who has been now synonymous with the resurgence of the Raiders defense. You go back to when they traded away Khalil Mack. Everybody said, well, now you got to find a pass rush. They did in Maxx Crosby, the second-team All-Pro this past year, part of this amazing Raiders season, which broke those of us who are Charger fans' heart on the last play of the regular season. And Max joins us here at Radio Row at the Super Bowl. And Max, I know how emotionally tied you were to Mike Mayock, who's the general manager, part of that crew that drafted you. And Rich Bisaccia did a remarkable job. But what was that like for you when Mike lost his job? I know that there were some special moments and special conversations shared between the two of you.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about the NFL. It's a business at the end of the day. So there's going to be new people in and out all the time. And you get emotionally, you get closer to certain people. And, Mayock he did so much for me and my family. Always looking out for me, even with my sobriety. He was a big part of, helping me out and pointing me in the right direction. So I give so much credit to him on that end, and he's a good dude. So yeah, it hurts, but it's part of the business. So unfortunately, you just got to keep moving forward and keep rolling with the punches.
You mentioned your sobriety. Obviously, you guys had a tragedy. You've had a couple other incidents. Then there was a Alvin Kamara incident over the weekend at Pro Bowl. There are people that say, like, hey, Vegas, that's a tinderbox, right? What was it for you? What was the I need help moment for you that told you that you needed to go get help a couple years ago?
Yeah, it was like honestly like an accumulation of just bad decision making, being tired, being sick of the same thing over and over. It started in high school, honestly. Like, it just progressively got worse and worse. So once you get a little bit more freedom, a little bit more money, little things like that, it just gets worse and worse. And it just got to a point where I was so tired of the same thing over and over, the same cycle, that literally just looked myself in the mirror and was like, I need help. And I just, I reached out to my girlfriend, reached out to my agent, got all those people on board. Obviously, the Mayock and people with the Raiders, they were a big part of that as well. So, it just got to a point where it was just too much. My life was unmanageable, so I needed to get help.
What was the hardest conversation to have in those?
There was a ton. Obviously, at that time, I was just coming off a rookie year, a great year, for me. And, having my dad, my mom crying, worried about me, having Coach Gruden, who at that time, was my number one fan and always hyped me up and things like that. And now I'm going into rehab and just having him on the phone. It was tough. It's just it makes you look back and be appreciative of everything that I have, going forward, and all the things that I do have, just accomplishments, things that are cool, but I could look back and really appreciate all those things, because you can lose it all in the snap of a finger. So, it's tough for sure.
Is it harder in Vegas?
I wouldn't say so. For me, when I lived in Ypsilanti, Michigan in college, I found a way to find trouble. When I lived in Texas, it's the same thing. I got that personality. That's a part of who I am. So, yeah, for me, it doesn't matter where I'm at. Obviously, though, Vegas is, amplified in a way, but, I stay far off in the suburbs and I'm away from everything. So I don't really do too much.
It's been cold in here all week. They're pumping the air conditioning. Plus, I think I'm underneath the vent. But it got especially cold when you walked up with all that ice that's going on here.
Yeah.
The necklace, the watch, the bracelet. Bro, L.A., there's been a bit of a crime spree. I'm not trying to take anything off Maxx Crosby, but you got to be careful. You're wearing like $1 million on you.
I wouldn't say $1 million, but, yeah, L.A.'s been going through it, I heard. But, I'm well protected. And, every year I always get something, a piece of jewelry or, something just to kind of simulate, just award myself for, the season.
Okay. How did you guys do this thing? I actually went to the Washington game.
Yeah.
And that was a tough one, right? You lose on a field. You guys miss a field goal, lose on a field goal.
Yep.
And I walked out of the stadium thinking to myself, that's it. It was a nice little run. Bisaccia kind of got him going for a couple games. But now the reality, you just lost so many guys. You lose John Gruden. You lose your play caller. It's just not. How'd you pull it off and even make it to the playoffs?
Yeah, once we played Kansas City at their place, we lost like 48-9 or something. And we got to a point, it was like a crossroads. Like, listen, we could either just book it, call it a year, and get ready for next year, or we can make a decision and go out there and show up and continue to work and believe in what the coaches are giving us. And that's what happened. We were taking it one game at a time, and it was literally playoff mode for the last month of the season. So it was an incredible time, incredible run that we had, and it's just unfortunate that it had to end the way it did. But, I'm so proud of everybody in that building.
All right, let's go to that Charger game.
Yeah.
I can't imagine because the TV was focusing on how exhausted their wide receivers are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, the defensive line.
Yeah.
How many snaps did you play that game?
I played total, including like field goal block and stuff like that, like over 90 snaps.
What's that like when the adrenaline wears off the next day?
You're saying the next day?
Yeah, or whenever the adrenaline wears off, and all of a sudden, like the level of fatigue had to be unlike anything else.
Incredible.
Because you're not just playing the snaps and not just the game and just the overtime, but everything that's in stake and the intensity of that game. You could feel it through the television set.
Oh,
the
yeah.
intensity of that game.
Yeah, that's it. I kind of give it to, my training and my recovery and all that because I prepared all off season continuously for the moments like that. So once I got to that moment, there was no, all right, am I in good enough shape to just go? And I knew in my head, I was like, this is everything I work for. This is where I want to be, the biggest games. So just mentally, I had to make a decision. I feel like our whole D-line, we were all dead. But we knew we're not losing the game. We couldn't. At home against the Chargers to get in the playoffs, we had to show up. So, yeah, we took it upon ourselves. It was ugly. It wasn't the prettiest way to win, but we found a way and we kept fighting. And I got to give a ton of credit to my teammates on that.
That was incredible. Do you like? There's been talk of you guys were going to run out the clock and play for a tie.
Yeah.
What was really going on at the end of that game?
See, I find that hard to believe, and it's funny because people were talking about it, and nobody really knew until after the game because Coach Bisaccia and the offensive guys, they were kind of talking about it as a possibility, but we were already to I think it was a 40-yard line, so it would have been like a 57-yard field goal, and there's no way we would have just been like, okay, we're taking a knee after all the work we put in, especially playing the Chargers. We want to send the Chargers home, so yeah, it was tough. And we came down to that last possession, and they called a timeout. So we had a little bit more extra time, and then Josh broke that run, and it was over. We knew Daniel was gonna knock it down. So
what you're sitting there, and where were you when the field goal was kicked?
I was on the sideline. It was me and the whole D line. We were all standing there, literally just praying. Be like, we knew, like Daniel Carlson in those moments. I literally, since I've been with him, I don't think he's missed one of them. He's missed a couple field goals early on in games, stuff like that. But that dude is just so locked in that we just, we 100% believe in him. So once we got in that position, we're like, oh yeah, this is game.
And you're watching that thing. What's the feeling like when it goes through? Yeah.
Oh, just relief because we thought the game would be over in regulation, but then they have two crazy touchdowns towards the end, and it was just like, oh my God, this is never going to end.
It was fourth down after they converted.
Fourth down after
6 fourth downs they converted. That was insane.
It was insane, and it just felt like it would never end. It got to a point. Marinelli always says this. He's like, go to your heart explodes, and then do another one, and go get another snap. So that's kind of how my mentality was. Like, listen, I'm going to literally go until I absolutely can't walk anymore. And I was cramping. Everyone's hurting, but we couldn't give in.
Any idea what accent Derek Carr has working there? Because it's definitely the flow and the leaders. It's kind of changed because he was Central Coast of, he was Fresno.
Yeah.
Got a little Texas to him, but there's a different sort of accent working there. Any idea what that is?
Yeah, I thought he was a Texas guy when I first met him because I'm from Texas. I've heard that accent before, and then I heard he's from Fresno, or not Fresno. He's from Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Then I went to Bakersfield, and it's a little bit country for California. It was different. I wasn't used to. I haven't seen anything in California like that. So I was like, okay, I guess maybe some people out here got a little accent. So good for him.
Little mix of all. You're bold enough to talk about your own alcohol rehab. I know that's part of the app, which is called Reframe. What is Reframe?
Yeah, Reframe, it's the #1 sobriety app in the world. It basically just gives people a community, gives people tools, to stay sober. And if you are drinking or trying to get sober, it gives you basically a guideline of what you need to do and to help you in any way they can. So they do an incredible job, and sobriety is the reason I'm here today. And it's just something, I saw and I fell in love with. So I'm excited to work with them.
There's somebody listening to this show who knows somebody or is that person that feels like they're drinking too much or they want to get out of that cycle. How do you go from that place to admitting I got a problem or downloading this app and pressing that? What would your advice be to that person or to that person who knows somebody who might have that issue?
Yeah, for me, it's, nowadays a lot of people, they have their own battles. They go through a lot of different things. So I can't speak specifically on everyone's situation, but I know that a part of my duty is breaking the stigma of people being scared to talk about their feelings. Or as a man, I'm a grown man playing the NFL. A lot of people don't like to talk about their feelings or what they've gone through or have too much pride to talk about, yeah, I have a problem. I need help. I can't do it by myself. That's why I'm here because, I feel like that's, God put me on earth to not only be a football player and inspire people, but inspire people off the field and help them, in any way I can. So that's one thing I'll say is just, there's never – every conversation matters, and there's always people out there to help you, and we're going to be here for them.
The app is called Reframe, Reframe. Download it and try it and ask for help. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, man.